Jono Donald joins me on the program. Jono, kia ora.
Kia ora, Andrew. Great to be here.
Now, not a sports fan, obviously. I didn't even know that they were playing. But can we start with this one? Is this football or soccer? What's your preference on this one?
Oh, controversial.
Yes.
I'll go soccer.
Okay.
Too many footballs.
Yeah.
American football,
Yeah.
rugby football.
Exactly, and they only call it football in the UK because that's mostly what they go crazy about, and then we'll get into that in just a moment. But firstly, what a tremendous season for Auckland FC. I mean, and another convincing game over the weekend.
Yeah, amazing to see Auckland FC just continue to go from strength to strength. And I was quite interested in heading along to this game, but I didn't make it. And they actually won before kickoff. So Auckland FC are so far ahead in the standings that even before this game, although they
Yep.
did beat Perth 1-0,
Yep.
they were so far ahead that they'd taken out the premiership, or it's got a name to it, the Premier's Shield, Premier's Plate. That's what it's called.
Yeah, exactly. So they'd won before they even started, which is a good place to go. Having said that, 1-0 doesn't reflect how dominant they were on the field. I didn't watch the game myself, but I read about it, which is a close second. Certainly a convincing performance again from Auckland FC.
Yeah, I think they were unlucky not to get a few more goals, but I guess when you've already won it, you're starting to think about playoffs.
Yep.
There is a bit of the A-League has an interesting playoff series, which they'll now go into with home advantage. But
Yep.
maybe they were cruising a little bit, kind of celebrating, wanting to get the win still. But yeah, amazing to see how well they've done this year. And you might have been mistaken driving past Mount Smart. That's the home of the Warriors, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But there's a new team in town that have been better than the Warriors have ever been, actually.
Exactly. And honestly, I mean, not knocking the Warriors, but certainly this other team that hangs out at Mount Smart been more consistent in their performance.
Yes. We'll leave it at that because we love the Warriors up the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
But this Auckland FC team, they're playing incredible. And it's not, I'm not the hugest soccer fan, but I tuned in last year for the playoffs to watch the Wellington Phoenix, and they did quite well, and they made it through. I think they were maybe the second. They didn't finish top of the table, but they finished second, I believe.
Yeah.
And they had some exciting games. Football or soccer is really exciting when it matters.
It is.
And so, yeah, let's see what happens.
Exactly. And I mean, yes, home team advantage in some ways, but it's always a little bit tricky here in New Zealand. Football or soccer. Compared to rugby or to league or even to cricket, it's kind of like, well, isn't that a pommy sport? I mean, there's still a little bit of that here because, I mean, in contrast, it's just football crazy and football mad in the home country, if I can refer to it as that. And, well, more of that demonstrated over the weekend again. Liverpool back at the top of the table and unbeatable, it seems.
Yeah. Liverpool have been playing really well, and overnight they took out the English Premier League, thrashing Tottenham 5-1 to claim. I think it's the record equaling maybe their 20th. Now they're equal with Man United for the most premierships of all time. So they're doing incredibly well. And same again. There's still 4 or 5 games to go, but they're so far ahead. They've just been so dominant. Amazing run by them.
And honestly, they take their football. They wouldn't call it soccer in the UK, but they take their soccer pretty seriously, and even the football fans. Should we call them hooligans? Because they kind of are. I mean, everybody's just full in and supporting your local team, regardless of whether or not they're any good. It's not just a sport anymore. It's a part of the culture. It's a part of the identity of the people who live in the area where that team is from. It's quite a tribal thing, isn't it?
Yeah, part of me admires it. I don't understand it. I'm not from there, and I'm not caught up in following a specific team. But I wish we were that passionate about our rugby or about our league or even our football. We do get there from time to time, maybe if the team is successful.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
I lived in the UK for about 6 years, and the local team we were from was pretty rubbish, actually. But a friend of mine, he went along to all of the local games, and as part of his tradition, he says, well, if my team scores a goal, I'll eat a little bit of chocolate, and if they win the game, I'll eat the whole bar. And he carried the same bar of chocolate to every game and didn't eat a lot of chocolate for year after year after year. But he was still a faithful fan. I think there's something to be said for that level of dedication.
yeah, I admire that. Keep showing up. Maybe one day your team will get good.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there is something in that as compared to, and perhaps it's at this side of the world. You know, if he says, "Oh, who's your favourite Premier team?" You know, maybe it is Liverpool, maybe it's Arsenal, maybe it's Chelsea, and there's these big teams with big budgets to be able to buy international players and these sort of star teams, but we're not supporting them because they're our team or because they're where we live. It's because we just like backing a winner. Really, that's a different sort of vibe.
Yeah, when I was at university, I decided I was going to support a Premier League team, and me and my friend they had some cheap jerseys they were selling, so I bought a Man City jersey.
Yeah.
And I wore it around for a while, and then Man City became really good, and they won all these games. But I never really felt like a true fan, did I?
Yeah, yeah.
It was just much better when you back your local team, and then they end up doing well. I think
or even if they don't do very well, even if you're taking that same bar of chocolate to and from the games week after week, month after month. I mean, there's something pretty cool about that. The celebrity aspect of football, and it is an industry, and we've talked about this before. The balance between sportsmanship and people making some serious money playing sport in different codes. Then you get the celebrity aspect. I don't know, when Deadpool decides to buy a pretty low-level English football club, of course, Ryan Reynolds and Wrexham. Now, I mean, it's an amazing story, but it's almost more of a Netflix show than it is an actual football team now, right?
Yeah, I first heard about Wrexham a number of years ago. My friend from the South Island, who has never watched a game of football in his life, he says, I've been watching this football team from Wales.
Yeah.
I think that's where they're from.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, Wrexham. Ryan Reynolds has bought the team, but here's the incredible thing: this team has been promoted 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
And they've just been promoted into the English Championship next year.
Wow.
So this is, for context, the bottom teams from the Premier League are relegated each year, and the top teams from the Championship are promoted.
Yeah.
And so next year you have Leicester City, who won the Premier League within recent history. They're going to be in the Championship.
Yep.
And Wrexham are going to be in there as well.
Wow.
Just bizarre, really.
In some ways, it does keep things warm, doesn't it? If you're only as good as your last win, if it's saying, you know what, if you don't make the grade anymore, if, I don't know, you have a bit of a crisis and you can't afford the top players, or something goes wrong, or you get a different coach, hey, maybe the Crusaders would play better if relegation was on the cards, and I don't know. Would that sort of system work here in New Zealand, or do we not have the numbers for it, do you think?
I would love to see something like that. Maybe not with the Super Rugby.
Yeah.
Maybe more at that NPC level below. If there was some promotion from the Heartland Championship, you know, some of the Wairarapa Bush getting promoted up into the big leagues, or
Yeah.
That would be kind of cool. But there is a real financial thing going on in the background as well, right?
Yeah. But I suppose this is the great equalizer, that, you know, a small team from a small community, if they get the right promotion, and I'm sure Ryan Reynolds has bought a certain amount of money and publicity and a bit of hype with it. I mean, he's probably one of the most famous actors in the world today, and you've got all the publicity with this Netflix series. Does that make a difference? Actually, do people play better sport because of the injection of money and publicity and hype that goes with it?
I would be very interested to see if any of the players from that original team are still with it. So you have a new owner come in and bring some new players, and they start to do well, and it would be quite interesting to look into that. I don't know it all myself personally.
Yeah. But
But I'd hazard a guess that probably not too many of those guys from the third division are still on the team.
there's a fair point there. But there's also, I suppose, a case of success breeding success. That actually, if they've got a few wins under their belt, they've got a lot more fans than they used to because Deadpool's bought their team and they're all over the media and everything. And there's people who have no understanding of sport who are sending them encouragement. It's kind of like having a global team of cheerleaders, actually. Does that create its own momentum? Just in the same way that a team's so often plays better with a home team advantage and the crowd cheering them on. Is this kind of like the Netflix version of that for them, do you think?
It's a pretty interesting point you make. And what I've noticed on Netflix is, or whatever streaming platform, there's all sorts of sports teams being followed. The All Blacks had that series where they were followed around, and part of me loves it as this opportunity to see behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But I guess is that modern sport? Is that just a little bit of where we're heading, where they are celebrities, a lot of these top players, and so now they're into our homes on a Netflix show, or we bought in, and it's just, I guess, a changing space, right?
Yeah. Are we not entertained? And a lot more pressure, I suppose, on the athletes. It's not just for 90 minutes on the weekend that actually these cameras are following them around. They are becoming celebrities. There is extra pressure that goes with that, right?
Yeah, and that's. I'll give you an example where I've been observing this just over the weekend as well. Is the NFL draft was on, and so I quite like college football and American football.
Yeah,
and the NFL draft is where players the latest talent is drafted from college into the professional ranks, and but there's a particular athlete, Shedeur Sanders, who was Deion Sanders' son, and he brings with him all of this hype and profile and celebrity, and actually he was earning more money in college than he would in the NFL.
Wow.
But you saw that some of the teams actually didn't take him, and he slid way down he was supposed to be in the first round, he slid all the way into the fifth round. And partly it's because these teams are saying, actually, we don't want all of that celebrity, and we don't, there's more, this player brings more than just he's a player.
Yeah.
He's got a platform, and he's got opinions and all sorts of stuff. So that's kind of another interesting element that I'm observing in sport at the moment.
And that's really interesting, actually, for sports teams to be pushing back against some of that celebrity sport. It's not always good for the game and can be a distraction for getting the results on the day, perhaps.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Hey, some great food for thought, and yeah, interesting to see what happens next, in particular with Auckland FC. Jono, thanks for what you do at Athletes in Action. People can find out more about that ministry at the website, but thanks for being on the program today.
Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.